On the broadcast tonight, Shippensburg University is named a hunger-free campus.
And the Pattersons invite the campus community to take part in the annual holiday card.
All that and more right now on SUTV News. Thanks for joining us on SUTV News. I'm Carson Devitt.
And I'm Cullen Mays. Jackson Katz is coming to SHIP on Monday, November 7th to speak in the Tuscarora Room from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Katz has his PhD, is an author, educator, and most formerly known for his activism on issues involving gender, race, and violence. He is part of many groups, including the Mixed Genders Mentors in Violence Program, or MVP for short, which happens to be one of the longest-running and most influential gender violence prevention programs in North America. His TED Talk, Violence Against Women is a Man's Issue, has been viewed over 4 million times. Mark your calendars and flood to the Tuscarora Room this Monday to give Dr. Katz a warm SHIP welcome. There is currently an ongoing DEI virtual summit being held by the PASHE program. From November 2nd through the 4th, there will be plenty of sessions planned and keynote speakers, including Dr. Terrell Strayhorn, Lydia XZ Brown, Scott Blair, Dr. Amber Sessoms, and Dr. Jelani Cobb. The theme of this year's event is What Does It Mean to Belong? These scheduled sessions include information regarding the navigation of mental health, diversity, career development, dual enrollment, and many other professional topics that are crucial to understand in life. If you are interested in taking part in these online events, you must register for the summit beforehand, along with analyzing which sessions work best with your schedule. The summit concludes this Friday, November 4th, and there are 0 registration fees. For more information on this virtual event, an email was sent out on Monday with a link to the summit. There is also an overview of the sessions on the PASHE page. Are you ready to jump into a winter wonderland? It's that time of year again to break out your very best hats and scarves for the annual holiday card photo shoot. Students, faculty, and staff are warmly invited to join President and Mrs. Patterson this Friday, November 4th, as they spread their Raider cheer for all to see. Each November, the beloved water fountain in front of Old Main is elaborately dressed in holiday decor to ring in the changing season. The Shippensburg University community will gather near the fountain at 2 p.m. for the jolly photo and video opportunity. Make sure to attend the event wearing your very best red and blue gear, enjoy some delicious winter refreshments, and say cheese to the holidays.
With an estimated 1/3 of post-secondary students at risk of hunger, it is an honor to announce that Shippensburg University has been named a hunger-free campus. Because of the several programs aimed at supporting food insecure students in the past and present, the Pennsylvania Department of Education awarded SHIP the name. In addition to past efforts this year, SHIP opened up the Big Red's Cupboard. Big Red's is a food pantry located on the 2nd floor of the Cub for all students to have access to food and hygiene products. There is no limit to how many visits students can make. The university also allows students to donate their meal swipes to other students who may not have a meal plan or have simply run out of funds. To learn more about SHIP's efforts to combat hunger, you can visit the News website at news.ship.edu. With semester finals looming in the distance, the Criminal Justice Club made a conscious decision to break free from studying Tuesday to enjoy an afternoon of hot chocolate and movies. The event took place in Shippen Hall, where the group was able to eat snacks and watch the Netflix original documentary Girl in the Picture. President of the club, Victoria Carroll, said the purpose of the event was for students to spend time together, grow closer as a club, and relax before the semester ends. Even if you missed out on the fun activities this past Tuesday, the Criminal Justice Club has plans to host more social events in the future. A major ruling from the Pennsylvania Supreme Court that could impact next week's midterm election. The court ruled Tuesday local election boards cannot count any general election ballots mailed in undated or incorrectly dated envelopes. Several Republican groups, including the Republican National Committee, filed a lawsuit last month. They demanded the acting Secretary of the Commonwealth uphold a state requirement for voters to sign and date the outer envelope of their mail-in ballot when they return it. So far, no reaction on the ruling from the Pennsylvania Secretary of Commonwealth's office. SUTV will have coverage Election Day next week with results and reactions from the community. When we come back, Pfizer begins to test their new vaccine combo.
And later in sports, men's and women's soccer look to score victory in their final games of the season. We'll be right back. What's going on this week in the Slate?
Here with the highlight of this week's stories is the Slate's Bryce Musser.
Coming up this week in the Slate, our news section will cover an article on Your World Today and the expectations and reality of University 101. Additionally, news will also cover a math student research seminar and a DEI summit. Our arts and entertainment section will feature a review of Kansas at the Lure Center and a review of the movie My Policeman. A&E will also include a review of Meghan Trainor's new album and an art exhibition review. Our opinion section will feature a story on Slate Speaks and a story on the 2024 presidential election. Opinion will also include an article on the scum of the internet and voting voices. The Ship Life section will include a story on mean horoscopes, an improv club show, and a student profile. Ship Life will also include a night at the club and story on the Slater of the Month. The sports section will cover 6 feature stories on field hockey, football, cross country, volleyball, wrestling, and swimming. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at ShipUSlate, and be sure to pick up the next edition of the Slate Tuesday in newsstands or read anytime at theslateonline.com.
A moment of diplomacy between China and Taiwan.
And hospitals in Kyiv are impacted by a shortage of water. SUTV's Haley Galaskis has this week's World News.
In the midst of heightened tension between China and Taiwan, a moment of diplomacy and a moment of love. Love of this giant panda named Tuan Tuan. The beloved bear lives in Taiwan at the Taipei Zoo. He was diagnosed with a brain tumor in September, and it's been progressing rapidly ever since. 2 panda experts from China visited the zoo to look at the panda, eventually coming to the same conclusion as the zoo's experts, not to treat the 18-year-old panda, but keep him comfortable until he passes. It's hard to say how long that will be. Even with his imminent loss, the joint effort to care for Tuan Tuan is being called a rare diplomatic win for the 2 sides. A life-size cast of Princess Diana's hand is going up for auction. It is expected to sell for up to 40,000 pounds. That's just over 46,000 US dollars when it goes under the hammer on Tuesday. The plaster cast is of Diana's left hand depicting her wedding band, made by renowned Croatian sculptor Oskar Niemann. It will be auctioned off at the Riemann Danzy in the southeastern English county of Essex. The auction house says the piece is extremely rare and believed unique. 25 years after her death, items belonging to the former Princess of Wales that go to auction typically attract significant public interest. Pfizer has launched its study of a combination COVID and flu vaccine. Today, Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech announced that the first participant has received a dose in phase 1 of the trial. The shot contains Pfizer's updated bivalent COVID booster and its investigational flu vaccine. The bivalent booster targets the original COVID strain and 2 Omicron subvariants. Other vaccine makers are also studying combination vaccines. Novavax announced this month its combination COVID flu vaccine candidate generated immune responses against coronavirus and influenza strains in an early clinical trial. Moderna is also developing a combined flu and COVID vaccine and another combination vaccine targeting flu, COVID, and RSV. Dialysis requires a lot of running water, so when Russia targeted Kyiv's infrastructure Monday, the lives of vulnerable patients hung in the balance. For the first time since the start of the conflict, 4 of Kyiv's biggest hospitals were left without running water for nearly a day, creating an unprecedented challenge for the capital's doctors and nurses. CNN's Salma Abdelaziz has the story from Kyiv.
These need running water for their treatment. So when Russia targeted Kyiv's infrastructure Monday, lives hung in the balance.
One patient here needs at least 4 hours and almost 300 liters of water
300
for one
liters
procedure
of water.
of running water. For one day, we had no water at all in this unit. That's just very dangerous to their health.
For the first time since the start of the conflict, 4 of the capital's biggest hospitals were left without running water for most of a day. The Kyiv Regional Clinical Center was among the facilities impacted. Doctors and nurses here scrambled to transfer the most urgent cases.
So we must be prepared to face even the most difficult challenges.
For weeks, Moscow has pounded Ukraine's critical infrastructure, but medical facilities had so far been spared, relying on backup generators during blackouts. This week's strikes were so severe, Kyiv's water pumps stopped working, leaving some 1,500 hospital patients across the city in limbo.
This is one of the hospital's sterilization rooms. It's here that staff come to clean surgical equipment. But once the water was cut off, they could no longer do that. That means all non-emergency operations had to be canceled.
Hospitals require an enormous amount of water. This one, its officials say, uses some 15 tons per day. The medical director here says it created a huge challenge for her staff. We're ready for emergency situations every day. We can handle power cuts. But the lack of water was absolutely catastrophic for us, she tells me. We had to act quickly.
Do you worry that the water system could be cut off again by Russian missiles?
We worry every day.
You worry every day?
Every day and every morning.
For now, the city's water services are restored, but it's a matter of if, not when, Moscow will strike Kyiv's lifelines again. Salma Abdulaziz, CNN, Kyiv.
That's it for World News this week. I'm Haley Galaskis. Now back to Cullen and Carson at the desk.
When we come back in entertainment, LeVar Burton received some good news from over the rainbow.
We have more after the break. It's crazy. This entire past week, I've seen students wearing shorts and t-shirts. I feel like I've never seen that happen here at SHIP.
Yeah, I mean, I've been wearing my sweatshirts and jeans for the past month now because I only know it's going to get colder. Now let's send it over to Storm Johnson, who has this week's weather.
Halloween may be behind us, but the colder weather is only getting started. With that being said, tonight we see temperatures drop to 54 degrees with clear skies. For tomorrow, expect low 70s and some cloud coverage with the sun peeking through. Over the weekend, the clouds hang around and we see a very manageable 75 degrees both days. Early next week, the clouds move out and we see the last mid-70s day of the week. But as the week progresses, temperatures drop to under 60 and the rain clouds move in for a 50% chance of rain both Thursday and Friday. Now that's all from me, folks. I'm Storm Johnson, and as always, stay warm, stay safe, and over to Michael Donegan with this week's entertainment.
Following the success of her recent album Midnights, 11-time Grammy winner Taylor Swift has officially announced she is going on tour next year. Swift first shared the news on Good Morning America, saying, quote, "I'm enchanted to announce my next tour, the Eras Tour, a journey through the musical eras of my career," end quote. For the first time since 2018, her 27-day tour Eras will kick off in Glendale, Arizona on March 18th, and will wrap up in Los Angeles with a 2-night performance on August 4th and 5th. Accompanying Swift as special guests include artists such as Muna, Girl in Red, Paramore, Gracie Abrams, and more. Additionally, she has announced her ticket prices in advance. Tickets will start at around $49 and reach up to $450. If you're excited, so is Swift. On Instagram, she said, quote, "I can't wait to see your gorgeous faces out there. It's been a long time coming," end quote. If you want to see Swift, make sure you secure your tickets. Sales begin Friday, November 18th at 10 a.m. Take a look. Nominees for the New Children and Family Emmys are in the book. And Reading Rainbow star LeVar Burton is flying high as the Emmy's first Lifetime Achievement Award honoree. In April, Burton reacted to the news on Twitter, responding with only one word, quote, "whoa," end quote. Reading Rainbow began in 1983 and ran over 23 years on PBS. The show encouraged and motivated children to read, as well as visit their local libraries, something Burton still advocates for today. Burton has won 12 Emmys over his long career for his work with Reading Rainbow, among other honors. But the 65-year-old star has no intention of slowing down. Burton is set to host the television game show Trivial Pursuit, and come February, the Emmy winner will reprise his Star Trek role as Geordi for the 3rd and final season of the Paramount Plus original Picard. Fans will have a lot to look forward to from Burton, most significantly his acceptance of the Lifetime Achievement Award, which in their view, he earned many years ago. The Children's and Family Emmy Awards will take place at the Wilshire E. Bell Theater in Los Angeles on December 11th. While Halloween may have passed, but horror fans still have some rejoicing to do. Streaming service Peacock announced that the 80s slasher flick Friday the 13th will return with a prequel series called Crystal Lake. Currently, story details are not yet known, but Brian Fuller will lead as the showrunner. Fuller is known for Hannibal, the reimagining of cannibal killer Hannibal Lecter. Friday the 13th began terrorizing Hollywood in 1980. Since its release, the franchise has seen 11 films, a spin-off show, a comic book series, and multiple video games. Jason Voorhees may have been the victim of horrible camp counselors in the 1980 film. He has become a supernatural villain today. Fans of the franchise will need to wait and see what Fuller and his crew will create in the upcoming Crystal Lake. Kershnik Kari Ball, also known as Takeoff, has passed away at the age of 28. Outside of a bowling alley in Houston, Texas, a game of dice got heated and tensions grew high when money was lost. According to police, indecent exchanges came from both sides and shots were fired. 2 bullets are said to have hit Takeoff, one being in the head or neck region. Takeoff was mostly known as a member of the family music trio Migos, composed of his uncle Quavo as well as Quavo's cousin Offset. The group grew up together in life and began their music careers in 2008, seeing a boost in popularity around 2014 with their album Fight Night. That's it for entertainment this week. I'm Michael Donegan. Now back to Cullen and Carson at the desk.
When we come back in sports, the highlights from Senior Day at Seth Grove Stadium.
We have more after this.
On Wednesday night, field hockey traveled to Millersville to play the number 5 ranked Marauders. The Marauders struck first in this one when Kate Strickland scored on the penalty shot to put the Marauders up 1-0. Later in the corner, about 4 minutes to go, Breach Harsh scored on another penalty shot, and the Marauders extended their lead against the Raiders to 2-0. On to the second quarter now, Auguste Garibaldi scored on this penalty shot to cut the deficit to 2-1. With 6 minutes to go in the half, Corlin Yetter deflects the ball, and she's going to extend the lead to 3-1. In the fourth quarter, the Marauders score one more time on the penalty shot from Piley Zabala. The Raiders fall to the Marauders 4-1. The Raiders continue to face ranked opponents on Saturday, hosting number 10 IUP on Senior Day. In women's soccer, the Raiders concluded their season Saturday afternoon at home against the Bloomsburg Huskies. 13 minutes into the match, Bloomsburg came out firing on all cylinders as Huskies' Campbell Power lived up to her last name and blasted the ball into the top right corner of the net. Huskies lead 1-0. After the explosive start, Bloomsburg offense was kept quiet for the remainder of the game as the Raiders goalkeeper Morgan Molyneux totaled 8 saves. Jumping ahead with only 24 minutes left to play in the second half, Raiders' Jenna Fulmore cuts past the defender and crosses the ball to the center. And while the Huskies defense got a foot on it, Schulenburg's Olivia Steffen was ready at the top of the box and sent the ball flying to tie the game at 1. The Raiders' season ends in a 1-1 tie. Their overall record lands at 666 with a 5.56 record in the PSAC. Men's soccer wrapped up their 2022 season on Saturday at East Stroudsburg. This game went scoreless all the way down to the final 10 minutes, where the Warriors' Teruzzi earns a penalty kick on the foul by Spencer Seiverling. The Raiders gave it their all, but East Stroudsburg prevails 1-0. Schulenburg season ends at 4-8-4 with 0-8-4 record in the PSAC. ESU went on to the PSAC Men's Soccer Championship, beating Westchester in penalty kicks. They face Mercyhurst Friday at 5:30. Well, it was a beautiful day on Saturday as the Raiders took on East Stroudsburg, their final home game of the year. Let's send it over to SUTV's Carmine Chicatano, who has a recap of the game.
It was an emotional Senior Day celebration at Seth Grove Stadium as players took to their home field one final time this semester. Getting into the action, it was a struggle for both teams to find any early momentum on Saturday as the Shippensburg University Raiders and East Stroudsburg Warriors were both unable to get to the end zone after the first quarter. However, in the second quarter, the Warriors managed to persevere and gain a lead of 17-0 by halftime. But the Raiders were not going to be letting the Warriors off the hook just yet. Coming into the third quarter, the Raider offense was determined to make a comeback. Xavier Roman managed to score on a 7-yard pass from Evan Falco, and the Raiders were on the board. Then, at the end of the quarter, after a huge catch and run by Red Douglas, it's Khaled Dorsey who scores from 7 yards out. But the Raiders missed the PAT, and it's 17-13. Raiders kick a field goal in the fourth quarter, 17-16, down by 1. East Stroudsburg scores a pair of field goals, one thanks to a kickoff return fumble. Raiders get the ball with under 2 minutes to go, down by 7. Raiders drive down the field with a great catch by AJ Tedesco, Next play, Falco runs up the middle, but fumbles the football at the 3-yard line, sealing victory for the East Stroudsburg. Football is on the road next week at Lock Haven. For one final time on the sideline of Seth Grove Stadium, for SUTV Sports, I'm Carmine Chicatano.
On to volleyball now, which traveled to Lock Haven on Saturday. Ship lost the first set 25-22, but came storming back to take the next set by 9, the third set by 19, and win the fourth set by 11 to win their fourth straight match. Then earlier this week, Ship earned its 7th straight PSAC Athlete of the Week award, this time for freshman Kirsten Davis. Davis picked up 91 assists, 19 digs, 6 service aces, and 2 kills in Ship's last 2 matches against Bloomsburg and Lock Haven. Schulenburg hosts Millersville tomorrow night for senior night at Hikes Fieldhouse at 7 p.m. Finally tonight, the biggest sports story in all of Pennsylvania last week, the Phillies playing in the World Series. Tuesday night's game, rescheduled after Monday's rainout, brought Citizens Bank Park to its feet with a game-tying 5 home runs. Right there, you see the crowd, a 2-run blast from Bryce Harper. And he's going to be backed up immediately by his teammate Alec Boehm, who takes a long shot to go yard. Brendan Marsh also hit a home run the following inning, and Qual Schwarber even hit his famous Schwarbomb. Reese Hawkins also found the crowd yesterday, totaling 7 runs in all and blanking the Astros 7-0. Last night, though, things got a little bit uglier at CBP. Christian Javier obliterated the Phillies' hot bats, pitching a combined no-hitter. The first time a team has given up 5 home runs, then pitched a no-hitter in World Series history. A 5-inning onslaught of runs from the Astros put them in front by 5. The Phillies could not get around to the Astros bullpen down the stretch. Game 5 is tonight at 8 p.m. from Philadelphia, with the series tied at 2. Noah Syndergaard starts for the Phils, with Justin Verlander on the mound for the Astros. No matter the winner tonight, the series will go back to Houston on Saturday to crown a World Series champion. That's it for sports this week. I'm Jay DeRazio. Now back to Colin and Carson at the desk.
When we come back, a farm in St. Louis has a unique approach to Thanksgiving holiday.
Stay tuned.
Here's your check.
A farm near St. Louis is flipping the script for turkeys for Thanksgiving Day. Instead of offering them for dinner, they're available for cuddles. Steve Harris has the story.
November means it's time to talk turkey. So I took a drive to Dittmer, Missouri to a place called the Gentle Barn.
The Gentle Barn is a national nonprofit organization that rescues severely abused, neglected, and unwanted farmed animals. We provide them with sanctuary for the rest of their lives, and then we work with them to bring comfort and healing to people.
Here you'll find pigs, donkeys, ducks, and cows. Sorry, but the star of this month's show, the turkeys, Neptune and Smudge.
Hey, Smudge.
Christine is like the turkey whisperer, if you will.
Hi. Hi. Having a good day? Yeah. You talking?
And on Thanksgiving Day, she's inviting the public to come by for a cuddle.
The female turkeys love to cuddle and form close relationships. Our turkey specifically, we have a turkey that loves to be held and sit in your lap. So they really enjoy all of the attention.
For a donation to help the barn's rescue efforts, visitors can book a time to hug, hold, pamper, and pet a turkey. You can even feed them, which for the turkey is a welcome change. Now, this is the kind of story that begs for a little reporter involvement, right? So since I've never actually cuddled with a turkey, why not now? Like that?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. You pet her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good girl.
There's something soothing and comforting about this, I gotta tell you. And mark that off my bucket list. Steve Harris, News 4.
While personally I would enjoy some turkey cuddles, I'd feel pretty guilty later that night eating it for Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, I mean, those cuddles do sound nice, but I don't have any guilt. The only place my turkeys are going on Thanksgiving is in my belly.
That's it for SUTV News. I'm Carson Devitt.
And I'm Cullen Mays. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at SUTV News, and check out our website, sutvnews.org.
We'll see you next week. Good night.